My name is Bailey Winters. I was 32 years old, a certified public accountant, and my two kids were sleeping on the floor of my childhood bedroom. 3 months earlier, I had called my mother from the parking lot of a family court building with mascara on my collar and a custody agreement in my hand. "Mom, I need help." She did not hesitate. "Come home, sweetheart, just until you're back on your feet. Family takes care of family." What my mother did over the next 4 months, the rent she charged, the lies she told, the doors she physically blocked, I could have survived. But what I found in her filing cabinet on a Tuesday afternoon in April changed everything. And what happened at that Mother's Day brunch with my grandmother and my aunt sitting 3 ft away, that is the part none of them saw coming. Welcome back to Calm Drama Stories. If you are new here, we share powerful true life stories of family drama, resilience, and quiet justice. Drop a comment and be sure to subscribe. Now, let us get into it. My ex-husband Kevin and I had been married for 9 years. He was charming when we met and reckless the entire time after. The divorce was not a surprise. The financial destruction was. Kevin had opened 4 credit cards in my name without telling me, ran up $31,000 in debt across all of them. By the time the court finalized our split, my credit score was 412. I had 2 children, a steady job, and a number that made every landlord in a 60-me radius say no. Lily was 7, Oliver was 5. They had lived in a 3-bedroom house with a backyard and a swing set their entire lives. Now, they were sitting in the back of my Honda with garbage bags full of clothes because I could not afford moving boxes. I called 3 apartments that first week. The first said no after the credit check. The second said no after the background check flagged the debt. The third did not even call back. My mother, Donna, lived in the house I grew up in, a 4-bedroom colonial in Ridgemont about 40 minutes from my office. My father had paid off the mortgage before it passed 5 years ago. The house was free and clear, or so I thought. When I pulled into the driveway with Lily asleep against the window and Oliver clutching his stuffed rabbit, my mother was standing on the porch. She hugged me. She carried bags inside. She made grilled cheese sandwiches for the kids at 9:30 at night. In my old bedroom, there was an air mattress on the floor, queenses already inflated like she had been planning. I believed her kindness that night. That was my first mistake. The first week felt like a ceasefire, not peace, just an absence of conflict. My mother cooked dinner every night. Pot roast on Monday, chicken casserole on Wednesday. She set a place for me and the kids at the table right next to my sister Megan and her husband Todd. We ate together like a family photo. No one mentioned that I was sleeping on an air mattress 6 ft from my children. Megan was 28. She worked part-time at a nail salon and lived in the master bedroom with Todd, who was a plumber. They had moved in 2 years earlier after Todd's apartment lease ended. They never moved out. Megan nodded at me in the mornings. That was it. She did not ask how Lily was adjusting to her new school. She did not ask Oliver why he carried that stuffed rabbit everywhere. She poured her coffee, checked her phone, and walked past my children like they were furniture. Todd was worse. He disappeared into the garage whenever I entered the kitchen. If we crossed paths in the hallway, he looked through me. Once on the 3rd day, he muttered something under his breath. I did not catch the words. I caught the tone. I set up my laptop on the bedroom floor and started working remotely. No desk, no chair. I sat cross-legged on the hardwood next to the air mattress and reconciled accounts for a manufacturing firm while Oliver napped beside me. Lily came in after school that first Friday. She pressed her hand on the mattress and it sank to the floor under her palm. "Mommy, why is our bed squishy?" I told her it was an adventure camping indoors. She did not believe me. 7-year-olds have a radar for lies their parents tell to protect them. 3 weeks after I moved in, I came downstairs at 6:15 in the morning. The kids were still asleep. My mother was sitting at the kitchen table with a piece of paper in front of her. "Sit down, Bailey." The paper was handwritten, neat block letters like she had practiced. Room and board, $1,500 per month. To the first of each month, I stared at it. $1,500 for one bedroom, an air mattress, no desk, no closet space because Megan's overflow filled my closet. "Mom, you said just until I'm back on my feet." And rent is how adults stay on their feet. I looked at the paper again. She had dated it. She had even written my name at the top like an invoice. "Does Megan pay rent?" My mother picked up her coffee mug, took a slow sip. "That's between me and your sister." Behind her, Megan walked into the kitchen, opened the refrigerator, took out the creamer, poured it into her cup. She was 3 FT from me. She did not look up, did not say good morning, did not acknowledge the paper on the table. I did the math in my head because that is what I do. $1,500 a month was the going rate for a 2-bedroom apartment in Ridgemont. My mother was charging me full market rent for a room with an air mattress in a house that had no mortgage. At least that is what I believed at the time. The truth about that house was worse than I could have calculated. But I would not learn that for another 7 weeks. I paid first of the month $1,500 because dollars I had nowhere else to go. The air mattress deflated every night, not all at once. Slowly, like the house was exhaling underneath us. I would fall asleep at 11 with the kids on either side of me, the mattress firm enough to feel like a real bed. By 3:00 in the morning, we were on the floor, the hardwood pressed into my hip bone. Oliver would curl into my side without waking. Lily always woke up. She never complained. She just lay there staring at the ceiling, waiting for morning. I needed a pump. There was one in the garage. I asked Todd. "That pump is mine. Buy your own." I bought one, $14 at the hardware store. Every night after the kids fell asleep, I would kneel on the floor and pump the mattress back up. The sound, that rhythmic, we became the soundtrack of our nights. $1,500 a month for a room where my children woke up on the floor. I started keeping a ledger, professional habit. I wrote down every payment, every expense, every rule my mother imposed. Column A, what I paid. Column B, what I received. The math never balanced. One afternoon, I drove to the next town and looked at apartments. A 2-bedroom near the elementary school, $1,100 a month, smaller than my old bedroom at my mother's house, but it had 2 real beds and a kitchen I could use whenever I wanted. The landlord ran my credit. I watched his face change. "I'm sorry, ma'am. We require a minimum score of 580. I was at 412. Kevin's credit cards were still dragging me down. I drove home, walked past Megan on the couch, walked past Todd in the garage, went to my room, pumped the mattress, lay down between my children and stared at the ceiling. Lily stared back. Here is what the inside of my mother's house looked like, if you were keeping score. Master bedroom, queen bed with a pillow-top mattress, walk-in closet, attached bathroom with a rain shower. Megan and Todd, rent paid, $0. My old bedroom, air mattress on hardwood floor, no closet space, shared bathroom with my mother down the hall. Me, Lily, and Oliver. Rent paid $1,500 per month. Guest room empty, used as Megan's craft room, where she stored acrylic nail supplies and watched videos on her phone, occupied by no one who sleeps. Megan worked 3 days a week at a salon called Polished. Todd worked full-time as a plumber. Between the two of them, they earned enough to rent their own place twice over. But why would they? My mother never asked them for $1. I asked my mother about it once, just once. Megan's been here longer. She's settled. She's been here 2 years, Mom. She moved in because Todd's lease ended. Exactly. She's settled. I watched Megan walk past my children every morning. Oliver would be sitting on the floor in the hallway playing with his rabbit right in the path between the master bedroom and the kitchen. Megan stepped around him, not over him, around him like navigating an obstacle. She never said good morning to him, never ruffled his hair, never asked Lily about school. My children were invisible in that house. They slept on the floor. Megan slept on a pillow top. I paid $1,500. Megan paid nothing. And every Sunday at dinner, my mother would say grace and thank God for her family, all of us sitting at that table. As if the table were level, it was not. I called my grandmother on a Tuesday night after the kids fell asleep. Grandma Jun lived 2 hours north in a small house near the lake. She was 79 and sharp as a tax audit. Grandma, I need to tell you something about what's happening here. Oh, honey, your mother already told me everything. She said you're staying for free and you haven't even offered to help with groceries. I gripped the phone. For free. I'm paying $1,500 a month. Silence. Then that can't be right. Donna said. Donna lied. More silence. June was not a woman who rushed to judgment. She was also not a woman who tolerated dishonesty. I'll talk to her. June said. Not yet, I said. Please let me handle this. I called my Aunt Ruth next. Ruth was my mother's younger sister, practical, direct. She had suspected for years that Donna exaggerated her generosity. Ruth, Mom is charging me $1,500 a month to sleep on an air mattress. Ruth exhaled. I want to say I'm surprised. And Megan pays nothing that I am not surprised about at all. Can you help? Honey, I don't want to get in the middle of you and your mother. You know how she gets. I knew exactly how she got. My mother had spent decades perfecting her public narrative. Donna the generous, Donna the long-suffering, Donna the mother who sacrificed everything for her children. The following Sunday, she hosted dinner and performed for Todd's parents. When Bailey needed me, I didn't think twice. I opened my home. She touched her chest like she was reciting the Pledge of Allegiance to her own generosity. Todd's mother said, "You're a saint, Donna." I cut my chicken and said nothing. By the end of the second month, I had applied to 6 apartments. All 6 rejected me. My credit score was climbing, but slowly. The fraud dispute process took time. Each of Kevin's 4 cards had to be investigated individually, and the credit bureaus moved like they were paid by the hour. Donna knew. She kept track. Every time I came home from a viewing looking defeated, she was there with the same soft smile. See, you need me, Bailey. I'm not the enemy here. She said it like a kindness. It landed like a cage door closing. I paid the second month's rent. $3,000 total gone into my mother's pocket for a room where my children slept on hardwood by 3:00 in the morning. I started doing the math differently, not as a daughter, as a CPA. My father had paid off this house in 2019, the year before he died. I had been at the closing celebration. Champagne, a burned mortgage paper in the backyard fire pit. Dad had grinned so wide his glasses fogged up. No more payments, girls. This house is yours free and clear. So, if the house was paid off, where was my $1,500 going? One evening, I was waiting for the kids to finish brushing their teeth when I noticed a stack of mail on the kitchen counter. Most of it was junk. Coupons, political flyers, but at the bottom, a white envelope with a bank logo, addressed to Donna Winters, stamped in red. Urgent. My mother appeared behind me. Her hand closed over the envelope before I could read the return address. She tucked it into her apron pocket without a word and went back to the living room. I did not think about that envelope again. Not until week 7. If you have ever been stuck in a place where leaving felt impossible, where the people who were supposed to protect you became the ones you needed protection from, I want you to know you are not alone. Keep listening. And if this story hits close to home, drop a comment below. Your stories matter, too. Month 2 brought rules. My mother announced them on a Monday morning like a hotel manager addressing staff. Kitchen hours 6:00 to 7:00 in the evening. 1 hour. Stove, the oven, the microwave, all off limits outside that window. Megan needs the kitchen for her meal prep. Megan, who cooked twice a day, breakfast at 8, dinner at 5. The remaining 21 hours off the day, the kitchen sat empty except for Todd grabbing beers from the refrigerator. But the rule was the rule. I had 60 minutes to cook for 3 people. 60 minutes to boil pasta, heat sauce, plate food, wash dishes. If I ran over, my mother stood in the doorway with her arms crossed. Time's almost up. Then came the laundry schedule. Tuesdays and Thursdays between 2 and 4 in the afternoon. I worked full time. I could not do laundry between 2 and 4 on a weekday. I started washing clothes in the bathtub at night and hanging them on the shower rod. Oliver came to me one evening while I was rushing through spaghetti. He tugged my sleeve. "Mommy, can I have more?" My mother was wiping the counter behind me, checking the clock. "You eat in your room," Donna said, not to me. To my 5-year-old son. Oliver looked at me. I put more spaghetti on his plate. "He can eat right here." Donna did not argue. She pulled the kitchen timer from the drawer and set it on the counter. "Wound it to 55 minutes. It began ticking. 55 minutes, she said. Then the kitchen's closed. That timer sat on the counter every night after that. Ticking, ticking, counting down what my children were worth in that house. 55 minutes. Not a second more. Lily's teacher called me on a Wednesday afternoon. "Mrs. Winters, I wanted to check in. Lily mentioned in class today that she sleeps on the floor at her grandmother's house. She said, the bed goes flat every night." My face burned. I was sitting in my car in the office parking lot. A pigeon walked across the hood. "We're in a transitional situation," I said. "I'm working on it. Of course, I just want to make sure everything is okay." It's okay. It was not okay. My 7-year-old had told her class that she sleeps on the floor. That story would travel from Lily to her classmates, from classmates to their parents, from their parents to the PTA moms who knew Donna from church. I drove home rehearsing calm. The front door was unlocked. Donna was on the couch watching television. Megan was painting her nails at the kitchen table. "Mom," Lily told her teacher about the air mattress. Donna turned from the screen. Her face went rigid. "You need to tell that child to stop airing our family business. She's 7. She told the truth. The truth is I gave you a roof over your head. The truth is you should be grateful instead of letting your daughter embarrass this family." I looked at Megan. She was blowing on her nails. She did not look up. "Grateful," I said. "I pay you $1,500 a month for that roof, and it's still not enough for the trouble," Donna said. I went to my room, closed the door, sat on the air mattress, and listened to it slowly deflate beneath me while my children played on the rug. That night, I opened my laptop. I was done being grateful. I was going to be an accountant. Numbers do not lie. People lie. Numbers just sit there, honest and indifferent, waiting for someone to read them. I sat on the bathroom floor at midnight with my laptop propped on the toilet lid. The kids were asleep. The mattress was holding. I had maybe 3 hours before it started sinking. I pulled up a spreadsheet. Monthly costs of a house this size in Ridgemont. Property taxes roughly $4,000 a year. Homeowners insurance about $1,200. Utilities $300, maybe $350 in winter. No mortgage. Dad paid it off. Total operating cost for Donna roughly $800 a month. I was paying $1,500. My rent alone covered the entire house plus gave my mother $700 in profit. But that math assumed the mortgage was paid off. I opened the county recorder website, typed in the property address. Ridgemont County made all property records searchable online. Deeds, liens, mortgages, all public. The first result loaded. Original mortgage filed 2004. Satisfaction of mortgage filed 2019. That was Dad's payoff. The champagne, the fire pit. Below it another line. Second deed of trust filed March 2023. Lender Pinnacle Home lending amount $62,000. I stared at the screen. My mother had taken out a second mortgage on the house my father paid off 3 years ago without telling anyone. I scrolled down. The monthly payment listed on the deed, $850. I closed the laptop, opened it again, read the numbers a second time, then a third, $850 a month. My rent was $1,500. Take out the mortgage payment and Donna still pocketed $650. But the mortgage was the secret. That was the piece no one in this family knew about. I knew now. The next morning, I sat through breakfast like nothing had changed. Donna made oatmeal. Megan scrolled her phone. Todd grunted his way through toast. Oliver kicked his feet under the table. Lily watched me. She always watched me. That child could read my face like a balance sheet. You okay, Mommy? I'm fine, baby. Eat your oatmeal. After work, I drove to the county recorder's office in person. I wanted paper copies. The clerk printed everything for $2 a page. Second mortgage agreement, full terms, recorded payment schedule, lender details. Donna had borrowed $62,000 from Pinnacle Home Lending in March 2023. 3 years ago, the same spring, she had started selling wellness supplements through a company called Vitalux. She had hosted parties, bought inventory, recruited neighbors. Vitalux was a multi-level marketing operation. And Donna had invested heavily. By the time Vitalux terminated her account 18 months later, Donna owed the company $14,200 in unsold inventory and unpaid fees. The second mortgage had been her way to cover the losses. Current balance on the mortgage, $47,000. She was 3 months behind on payments. The bank had been sending notices. One off those notices was the envelope I had seen her snatch from the counter. I sat in my car outside the recorder's office and did the math one more time. Donna's Social Security income about $1,800 a month. Mortgage payment $850. That left $950 for everything else. Food, utilities, insurance, her MLM debt. She was drowning. And my rent, my $1,500 a month, was her life preserver. I was not her daughter in that house. I was her payment plan. I drove home. I parked. I said nothing. And I started building. I need to tell you something honest. I almost let it go. Sitting on that deflating mattress at 2 in the morning, listening to Oliver breathe. I thought about my mother 20 years ago, the woman who braided my hair before school, who drove me to my SAT, who cried at my college graduation and said, "Your father would be so proud." That woman was in there somewhere, buried under 5 years of grief and a mountain of bad financial decisions. Dad's death had undone her. The MLM was not greed. It was desperation dressed up as opportunity. Some woman at church had told her she could be financially independent, and Donna had believed it the way drowning people believe in anything that floats. I understood that. I did. But understanding someone's pain does not mean you let them charge you $1,500 a month to sleep on the floor. It does not mean you watch your children wake up on hardwood and call it generosity. It does not mean you stand still while someone rewrites reality and tells your grandmother you are staying for free. Feeling sorry for my mother and accepting what she was doing to me were two different things. I chose the first. I refused the second. I called a credit repair service the next day. The fraudulent cards Kevin opened were being disputed. 2 had already been removed. My score was climbing slowly, like the air mattress refilling after I pumped it each night. Temporary but rising. I estimated 60 days. 60 days to get my credit above 580. 60 days to find an apartment. 60 days to build a case that could not be denied. I did not need a confrontation. I needed a timeline. And I needed one more piece of evidence from inside that house. On a Tuesday in April, the house was empty. Donna had a doctor's appointment at 10:00. Megan was at the salon. Todd was on a job site in Fairview. The kids were at school. I told myself I was looking for my old tax forms. I needed them for the credit dispute. That part was true, but I also needed to see what else was in that filing cabinet. My mother's bedroom smelled like lavender lotion and stale coffee. The filing cabinet was in the corner, a 2-drawer metal unit painted beige. I opened the bottom drawer, folder labeled house. I pulled it out. The second mortgage agreement was right on top. I already had a copy from the county, but beneath it were 3 envelopes from Pinnacle Home Lending, late payment notices, February, March, April, 3 straight months. Below those, a letter from Vitalux. Dear Donna Winters, your distributor account has been terminated effective September 2024. Outstanding balance owed $14,200. My mother owed Vitalux $14,000 on top of the $47,000 she owed on the mortgage. And at the bottom of the folder, a sheet of yellow legal pad paper. My mother's handwriting, the same neat block letters from the rent invoice she had put on the kitchen table. It was a budget, her personal budget written out by hand. Bailey rent $1,500. Below that, mortgage $850, VA payment plan $650. She had divided my rent exactly into the 2 debts she was hiding. $850 for the bank, $650 for the MLM. My $1,500 split like a paycheck between 2 creditors. My mother had budgeted my desperation down to the penny. I took photographs of everything. The mortgage notices, the Vitalux letter, the yellow legal pad, 12 photographs total. I placed every document back in the exact order I found it. Closed the drawer, straightened the rug, I washed my hands, made myself a cup of coffee in the kitchen I was not supposed to use, and I sat down to plan. I am a certified public accountant. I have spent 12 years reading financial documents for a living. Building a case was not foreign territory. It was Tuesday, my specialty. Over the next 2 weeks, I compiled everything. Item 1, county property records showing the original mortgage satisfied in 2019 and the second mortgage filed in 2023. Item 2, photographs of the late payment notices from Pinnacle Home Lending, 3 consecutive months. Item 3, the Vitalux termination letter with the outstanding balance. Item 4, the yellow legal pad, my mother's handwriting, my rent allocated to her debts. Item 5, a printout of tenant rights in our state. My mother had never asked me to sign a lease. There was no written agreement beyond her handwritten invoice. Without a lease, her claim that I owed $6,000 had no legal standing. I could leave at any time. The money I had already paid was rent for months occupied, not a deposit or a debt. Item 6, a section from the state criminal code. Physically preventing someone from leaving a dwelling is unlawful restraint, a misdemeanor. I hoped I would not need that one. I called a free legal aid hotline to confirm my reading of the law. The attorney on the phone said, "If there's no lease and no written agreement for a specific term, you're a month-to-month tenant at most." You can leave with 30 days' notice, and no one can physically stop you from exiting a building. I printed everything, put it in a manila envelope, sealed it. My credit dispute was progressing. 2 of Kevin's fraudulent cards had been fully removed. My score had jumped to 541, still climbing. I did not need a lawyer. I did not need a confrontation. I needed a spreadsheet, a manila envelope, and the right audience. Mother's Day was 3 weeks away. The kitchen timer got worse. I do not mean the rules got worse, though they did. I mean the timer itself became a weapon. Donna started winding it tighter. 55 minutes became 50, then 45. No announcement. Just the dial turned a little less each evening. One night I was making chicken stir-fry. Lily was doing homework at the table. Oliver was drawing on a paper towel because I could not find his coloring book in our single suitcase of belongings. The timer rang. Donna appeared in the doorway. Time. The chicken was not done. I had 5 minutes left on the stove. Mom, the food isn't ready. Timer doesn't wait for chicken. Bailey. I turned off the burner. Served half-cooked chicken to my children in our bedroom. We ate sitting on the air mattress. Oliver said it tasted funny. I told him to eat the rice instead. Through the wall, I could hear Megan and Todd in the master bedroom watching something on their television. Full volume. No kitchen timer on their lives. No countdown on their meals. Lily looked at me while I picked at my plate. Mommy, when are we going to our own house? Soon, baby. How soon? 3 more weeks. She held up 3 fingers and counted them. Then she put her hand down and ate her rice. I sat there on that wheezing mattress and watched the light under the door dim as my mother turned off the hall light. On the other side of that wall, my sister had a pillow-top mattress and 24-hour kitchen access, and a husband who tracked mud through the house that I mopped up because Donna added cleaning to my list of obligations. 45 minutes. That was the value of my family in that house. 3 more weeks. My credit score hit 583 on a Thursday morning. I refreshed the app 3 times to make sure. By lunch, I was sitting across from a woman named Mrs. Garza in a small office above a dry cleaner. She managed a 12-un-building on Maple Street, 7 minutes from Lily's school. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, hardwood floors, real ones, not the ones my children slept on. Credit's not perfect, she said, flipping through my application. But your income is solid. 12 years at the same firm. I went through a divorce. My ex opened accounts in my name. I'm cleaning it up. Mrs. Garza looked at me over her glasses. She was maybe 60. Silver rings on every finger, a photograph of grandchildren on her desk. I've been there, she said, different details. Same story. She slid the lease across the desk. $1,100 a month. First and last month deposit. Move-in date, May 10th, 2 weeks away. I signed it in the parking lot. My hand did not shake. I wrote a check for $2,200, first and last, and watched Mrs. Garza fold it into her purse. I drove back to my mother's house and told no one. That evening, I started packing small bags and putting them in the trunk of my car after the kids went asleep. 1 bag a night. Clothes, toiletries, Lily's school papers. Oliver's rabbit. No, Oliver would notice. The rabbit stayed. The manila envelope was under the spare tire in my trunk. I checked it every night, everything still there. Mother's Day was May 11th. I would move in on May 10th. The brunch was the next morning. The timing was not an accident. 2 more weeks. I could survive 2 more weeks. Todd caught me on a Saturday morning. I was loading a duffel bag into the trunk. He was coming back from the hardware store and he slowed his truck to a crawl in the driveway, running away. He leaned out the window. Figures. Can't handle real life. I put the bag in the trunk, closed it, did not respond. He parked, got out, stood between me and the front door like he owned the path. Your mom's been carrying you for months. Least you could do is say thanks. I looked at him. Todd was 30 years old. He had a full-time job, a wife with a part-time job. They had lived in this house for 2 years. They had contributed nothing. Not $1, not one thank you note. And here he was standing in my father's driveway telling me to be grateful. Todd, how much rent do you pay? His jaw tightened. That's none of your zero. The answer is zero. He opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. Nothing came out. He walked inside and slammed the screen door. 10 minutes later, my mother appeared on the porch, arms folded. The posture I had learned to recognize as her opening argument position. Bailey, we need to talk about respect. We will, I said. She waited for more. I gave her nothing. I walked past her into the house, went to my room, and sat on the mattress next to my sleeping children. Soon. She did not know what soon meant. None of them did. The manila envelope was in my trunk. My apartment lease was signed. My grandmother and my aunt had both confirmed they would be at the Mother's Day brunch. 8 days. I know this story is getting intense, and I want you to stay with me because what happens next at that Mother's Day table is the moment everything shifts. If you know someone who has been in a situation like mine, share this video with them. Sometimes hearing someone else's story is the first step out. 4 days before Mother's Day, I came home from work to find my apartment key missing from my purse. I searched the car, the bedroom, my coat pockets, nothing. I had put it in the front zip of my handbag that morning. Now the handbag was open and the key was gone. I could not prove it, but the only people in the house while I was at work were Donna, Megan, and Todd. I called Mrs. Garza. She made me a new key, $10. I kept that key on a chain around my neck. After that, on Friday, 2 days before Mother's Day, I loaded the last of the kids' clothes into the car while they were at school. When I came back inside for the final bag, my mother was standing at the front door, arms crossed, deadbolt locked behind her. Where do you think you're going? I found an apartment. We're moving out tomorrow. You are not going anywhere until you pay what you owe. I don't owe you anything beyond what I've already paid. For months, Bailey, you've only paid 3 plus utilities, plus food, plus that mattress. You owe me $6,000 first. She said it like she was reading from a contract, like it was settled law, like the woman standing between me and the door had any legal right to keep me there. I looked at the deadbolt. I looked at my mother. She was 52, 130 lb. But standing in that doorway with her chin up and her shoulders squared, she looked like a wall. Mom, you need to move, make me. I could have called the police. Unlawful restraint, misdemeanor, but my children would come home from school to sirens at their grandmother's house. I would not do that to them. Fine, I said, I'll pay. She stepped aside. She believed me. That was her mistake. I walked to my bedroom, closed the door, sat on the mattress. My hands were steady. My breathing was even. 12 years of reconciling numbers for clients who screamed at me across conference tables had taught me one thing. Panic is a luxury you can't afford when the math is on your side. I had no intention of paying $6,000. The law did not require it. The lease that did not exist did not require it. My mother's handwritten invoice on a scrap of paper would not hold up in any court in this state, but confronting her at the front door would not have worked. She would have cried, called Megan, called Grandma June, told everyone her version first. By the time I spoke, the narrative would have been set in concrete. I needed witnesses. I needed the right room. I needed people who loved my mother but loved the truth more. Mother's Day was Sunday, 36 hours away. I texted Aunt Ruth. I need you at brunch tomorrow. It's important. Please stay after we eat. Ruth replied in 4 minutes, already coming. "What's going on? I'll explain tomorrow, just be there." I texted Grandma June, "Can you stay a little after brunch? I have something to share with the family." June replied, "Of course, sweetheart. Are the children all right? They will be." I went to Staples that afternoon, printed the photographs from the filing cabinet, the yellow legal pad, the mortgage notices, the Vitaloo termination letter. I made 3 copies of everything, put them in the manila envelope alongside the originals. That night, I moved my car to the street so I could load it in the morning without Donna watching. Tomorrow, everything would happen tomorrow. Saturday night, the night before Mother's Day, I was folding Oliver's shirts on the mattress when Megan knocked on my door. She never knocked. In 4 months, she had spoken to me directly maybe a dozen times, always in the kitchen, always about logistics, never in my room. "Can I come in?" I opened the door. She stood in the hallway in her pajamas, arms hugging her own elbows. "Mom told me you tried to leave without paying." "That's really low, Bailey." I folded another shirt. "Megan, do you know how much rent I've been paying? That's between you and Mom." There it was, the exact same phrase, Donna's words coming out of Megan's mouth. Same cadence, same deflection. "That's between me and your sister," like a script passed down. "Do you know about the second mortgage?" Megan froze, her arms dropped. "What second mortgage? On this house, the one Dad paid off." "Mom took out a second mortgage 3 years ago." She blinked, opened her mouth. From downstairs, Donna's voice. "Megan, come help me with the table for tomorrow." Megan looked at me. Then she looked at the stairs. She chose the stairs. I listened to her footsteps descend, listened to the murmur of voices in the kitchen. I could not hear words, but I could hear rhythm. Donna's voice fast and firm. Megan's voice small and agreeable. The same music they had played my entire life. She knew now, or she chose not to know. That was the thing about Megan. She had an extraordinary talent for knowing exactly when to stop asking questions. Tomorrow at that table, there would be no more questions to avoid. I checked the manila envelope one last time. Everything was there. I set my alarm for 6 Mother's Day, May 11th. The sun came up like it did not know what was coming. I dressed the kids first. Lily in her blue dress. Oliver in the polo shirt Grandma June had sent for Easter. I brushed Lily's hair and she held still, which she never did. She could feel it. Children know when something is about to change. They do not need words. They read the air. Downstairs, Donna was in full performance. Apron cinched, cinnamon rolls in the oven, a banner across the dining room archway. Happy Mother's Day. She had bought fresh flowers, white roses, and arranged them in the centerpiece that used to be my grandmother's. Todd was carving a ham at the counter. Megan was setting places, 6 chairs around the table. Donna had added 2 folding chairs for Grandma June and Aunt Ruth. June arrived at 10:30. She hugged Lily and pinched Oliver Uncas' cheeks and said, "You look thin, Bailey." She said it quietly, not as a comment, as a concern. Ruth pulled in 5 minutes later. She caught my eye, walked through the door. I nodded once. She nodded back. We ate cinnamon rolls, ham, scrambled eggs, sweet potato hash that Donna made every Mother's Day because her own mother had taught her the recipe. The food was good. It was always good. My mother's cruelty never extended to her cooking. The manila envelope was under my chair. I could feel it against my ankle every time I shifted. Donna sat at the head of the table and looked around the room at her family. Grandmother, sister, 2 daughters, 1 son-in-law, 2 grandchildren. "I'm so blessed," she said, "to have my whole family here." She meant it. She also did not know what was about to happen. After the plates were cleared, Donna stood. She smoothed her apron, touched the back of her chair. She had rehearsed this. "I want to say something. This year has been hard." She paused. Let the silence do its work. When Bailey came to me after her divorce, I didn't hesitate. Not for 1 second. I opened my home. I gave her and the children a place to stay because that's what a mother does. She pressed her hand to her chest. Her eyes glistened. Practiced or real? After 4 months, I could no longer tell the difference. Some people don't appreciate what family does for them. Some people take and then try to leave without even saying thank you. Grandma Jun nodded. She was hearing the version of events Donna had been telling her for months. The version where I was ungrateful. The version where Donna was the saint. Aunt Ruth sat down her wineglass. She was watching Donna the way I had watched my mother for 4 months with the patience of someone waiting for a document to arrive. Donna turned to me. $6,000, Bailey. That's all I asked. 4 months of room and board. And you tried to sneak out in the middle of the night. The room was silent. June looked at me. Ruth looked at me. Megan looked at her plate. Todd leaned back in his chair with his arms crossed, wearing the expression of a man who thinks he has already won. My mother stood at the head of her table in her house with her family around her, and she waited for me to crumble. I reached under my chair. "Thank you, Mom. Can I say something too?" Donna spread her hands, magnanimous. "Of course, sweetheart." I placed the manila envelope on the table. Did not open it yet. Let it sit there. You're right. I moved back home after my divorce, and you did open your door. That's true. Donna nodded, the queen accepting tribute. But I want everyone here to know the full picture because the version Mom has been telling is not the full picture. I looked at June, then Ruth, then back at Donna. I have been paying $1,500 a month in rent for my old bedroom with an air mattress that deflates every night. June set down her fork. $1,500. Donna, you said she was staying for free. Donna's smile flickered. Well, room and board is reasonable. It's not free. I provide meals, utilities. My kitchen access was restricted to 55 minutes a day, Grandma. Mom set a timer. Ruth exhaled short and sharp like she had been holding it. Lily and Oliver slept on the floor. Every night, Grandma. The mattress deflated by 3:00 in the morning, and my children woke up on hardwood. June's hand moved to her mouth. She was staring at my mother, not with anger yet, with something worse. Confusion. Donna, you told me Bailey wasn't contributing. You said she was living here for free. I didn't. It's more complicated than she's making it sound. Is it true that you charged her $1,500 a month? Donna's jaw worked. No sound came out. I had not raised my voice. I had not accused. I had simply stated numbers. Numbers do not shout. They do not need to. The table was listening. Now I'd also like to ask in front of everyone how much rent Megan and Todd pay. Megan's fork clink-egged against her plate. She did not look up. Todd shifted in his chair. That's between me and Donna started. Let me finish. The room went quiet. Even Oliver stopped kicking the table leg. Megan and Todd have lived in the master bedroom for 2 years. Rentry, they have a queen bed and a walk-in closet and a bathroom with a rain shower. My children and I shared a room with an air mattress and no closet space because Megan's overflow was in my closet. I turned to Megan. You walked past my children every single morning on your way to the kitchen. Oliver sat on the floor in the hallway. You stepped around him. Megan's eyes were red. She was staring at the tablecloth. I paid $1,500. You paid nothing. My children slept on the floor, and you walked past them. Ruth leaned forward. Donna, is thighs true? Megan and Todd pay nothing. Donna, Megan's situation is different. Todd stood up halfway. We help around the house. So do I said. I also cooked in a 55-minute window and did laundry in the bathtub because your schedule took priority. Jun Unk's eyes moved to the kitchen counter. The timer was still there, sitting on the forica like an artifact from a museum of small cruelties. Donna, June said her voice had changed. Quiet. The kind of quiet that precedes verdicts. Explain yourself. My mother looked at her own mother. For the first time in 4 months, she had no script, no rehearsed speech, no martyr performance. I opened the envelope. I pulled out the first document and placed it on the table between the cinnamon roll platter and the vase of white roses. This house, the one Dad paid off before he died. Mom took out a second mortgage 3 years ago, $62,000. June's hand flattened on the table. What did you say? Pinnacle Home Lending filed March 2023. You can look it up on the county recorder website. It's a public record. I placed the second document next to the first. Current balance $47,000. She's 3 months behind on payments, February, March, and April. The bank has been sending late notices. I handed the stack to June. Her hands trembled as she read. Ruth stood and moved behind June's chair to read over her shoulder. The mortgage payment is $850 a month, I continued. Mom's Social Security brings in about $1,800. After the mortgage, she has $950 for everything else. Donna was standing, gripping the back of her chair. Her face had gone the color of the white roses. I pulled out the photograph of the yellow legal pad. Donna's handwriting clear as a spreadsheet. This is Mom's own budget in her own handwriting. I read it aloud. Bailey rent $1,500. Mortgage $850. Vitalux payment plan $650. Ruth looked up. Vilux, Donna. You told me you quit that 2 years ago. She did quit. I said they terminated her account, but she still owes them $14,200 in outstanding balance. That's what the $650 a month was for. I placed the Vitalux termination letter on the table. June was reading everything. Her mouth was a thin line. Beside her, Ruth had her hand on June's shoulder. My mother's financial life was laid out on the Mother's Day table between the ham and the flowers. Every secret, every number, every lie. I sat back. I did not say another word. I let the documents speak. Numbers do not lie. Donna moved first. She reached across the table for the papers. June pulled them away. You had no right to go through my things. Donna said, property records are public, Mom. Anyone with an internet connection can look up a mortgage filing. That's private family business. You made it my business when you charged me $1,500 a month to pay your debts. Donna's hands were shaking, not performance shaking, real shaking. The kind that comes from the floor dropping out beneath a person who thought they were standing on solid ground. I was going to lose the house. Her voice cracked. After your father died, I didn't. The Vitalux woman said it was an investment. She said I'd make it back in 6 months. I borrowed against the house to cover the startup costs. And when it all went under, I didn't know what else to do. For 1 second, just one, I saw her. Not the woman who charged me rent, not the woman who blocked my door. The woman who lost her husband at 53 and panicked. The woman a con artist targeted at a church potluck. The woman too proud to ask for help. 1 second. Then it passed. If you hadn't gotten divorced, none of this would have happened. She pointed at me. This is your fault, Bailey. You came here with your problems and your children, and now you're trying to destroy me. June stood up. She was 54 and 79 years old, and she filled the room. Donna Marie, sit down. Donna sat. Todd half rose from his chair. This is family business. Bailey shouldn't be airing. Ruth turned to him. Todd, sit down. You live here for free. You don't get an opinion. Todd sat. June turned to Megan. Did you know about any of this? Megan was crying. Quiet tears. The kind that come from being seen after years of hiding. I didn't know about the mortgage, I swear. Did you know your sister was paying $1,500 a month while you paid nothing? Megan wiped her face with her napkin. Mom said it was fair because Bailey needed more help because she had the kids and we didn't. More help. Ruth repeated. Your sister was sleeping on a deflating air mattress and cooking in a 55-minute window. That's the help. Megan looked at me. I looked back. I had waited 4 months to say this. I said it without raising my voice. My kids slept on the floor and you walked past them every single morning. Megan had no answer. Todd squeezed her hand under the table. She pulled away from him. Megan, Ruth said, you owe your sister an answer. I'm sorry. Megan's voice was barely audible. I didn't. I should have said something. I should have noticed. Mom said it was handled and I believed her. You believed her because believing her was easier, Is said. She nodded. She did not argue. I did not want Megan's tears. I did not want her guilt performed for an audience. I wanted her to see the air mattress, to feel the hardwood under her children's backs, even though she did not have children. To understand that walking past a 5-year-old on the floor every morning and saying nothing is a choice. Silence is a choice. Thank you, I said, for the apology. I hope you mean it. She nodded again. I moved on. There was one more person who needed to speak. Grandma Jun picked up the yellow legal pad photograph, held it close to her face, read it one more time. Then she sat it down and placed both hands flat on the table. Donna, you will not charge Bailey another cent. Not today. Not ever. Donna opened her mouth. June raised one finger, the mouth closed. Bailey, you said you found an apartment. I move in tomorrow. Good, I'll help you carry boxes. She turned to Donna. Now this house, your father and I bought it in 1987. I co-signed the original mortgage. I am still on the deed. Donna went paler. You took out a second mortgage without telling me. You used this house, our house, as collateral for a scheme that cost you $62,000. And then you charged your own daughter rent to cover your payments while your other daughter lived here for free. June paused. The room was completely still. Oliver was leaning against my arm, half asleep. Lily was watching everything. We are going to see a financial counselor this week. You, me, and Ruth. Every card in the table, every debt listed. We will figure this out together like a family should have from the start. She looked at Megan. And you and Todd will start paying rent. $800 a month. Less than what your mother charged Bailey for an air mattress. Todd's face re-ended. He said nothing. There was nothing left to say. June reached across the table and picked up the kitchen timer from the counter. She looked at it for a moment. Then she turned it off, opened the junk drawer, set it inside, closed the drawer. Bailey, sweetheart. She looked at me. You don't owe your mother $6,000. You don't owe her a thing. I stood up. I'm going to get the children's things. No one stopped me. No one blocked the door. I went upstairs. Lily and Oliver Uncas' toys were in a box by the air mattress. I picked up the box and looked at the room one last time. The mattress was still there, half deflated from that morning. A depression in the middle where 3 bodies had slept, the bare walls, the closet full of Megan's clothes. Mommy, are we going to our new home? Lily was standing in the doorway. Yes, baby, we are. Does the new home have real beds? It does. She picked up Oliver Uncas' stuffed rabbit from the floor and held it against her chest. Good. I carried the box downstairs, through the dining room, past the table where the documents still sat fanned out like evidence exhibits, past my mother, who was sitting with her head in her hands, past Megan, who was staring out the window, past Todd, who was studying his shoes. The front door was unlocked. No one standing in it. No arms crossed. No deadbolt turned. I walked through. June was already at my car holding the trunk open. She took the box from me and set it inside. Then she pulled me into a hug. She smelled like cinnamon rolls and Pond's cold cream, the way she had smelled my entire life. I should have asked more questions, she whispered. I'm sorry. You're here now. I said that's what matters. She kissed Lily's forehead, squeezed Oliver Uncas' hand, watched us drive away. The house got smaller in my rearview mirror. I did not look back. 2 weeks later, I stood in the doorway of a bedroom that was not mine. It was Lily's. Mrs. Garza had helped me carry the twin bed frame up the stairs. She said her grandson had outgrown it. She charged me $20. For my conscience, she said. Oliver got a toddler bed from the same grandson. Same price. The first night I checked on them 3 times, both asleep, both on mattresses, both breathing slow and steady on beds that did not deflate. I sat at my own kitchen table at 11:15 at night and made a cup of coffee. No timer, no 55-minute window, no one telling me when my family's meals were done. The clock on the stove read the time, and that was all it did. My credit score was up to 627. 3 of Kevin's 4 fraudulent cards had been removed. The 4th was in final review. Grandma June visited twice in those first 2 weeks. She brought homemade quilts for the kids. One with trains for Oliver, one with stars for Lily. She sat on my couch and drank tea and told me about the financial counselor appointment. Donna had gone, reluctantly. The MLM debt was being restructured into a payment plan. The mortgage was being renegotiated with the bank. June was overseeing everything. Aunt Ruth came over on a Saturday and helped me hang curtains. She brought a casserole. We ate it on the floor because I did not have enough chairs yet. Just like old times, she said, and we both laughed. Megan sent one text. I'm sorry, I replied. Thank you, I did not add more. Some apologies need time before they grow into anything. Todd and Megan started paying $800 a month in rent. June insisted. Donna did not argue. She had no leverage left. My mother had not called. I was not waiting for the phone to ring. The apartment was small. The beds were real. The door was mine. I learned something in that house. The people who tell you they are helping you and the people who actually help you are not always the same people. Sometimes the door that is locked against you is the one you are always meant to walk through. And sometimes the best thing you can have is not $6,000. It is the truth. The truth does not deflate at 3 in the morning. It does not come with a timer. It just sits there waiting for you to use it. That is my story. 4 months on an air mattress, 1 manila envelope, and a Mother's Day brunch that changed everything. If this story reminded you that you deserve better, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Thank you for being here.